All right. Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk. This is episode 359. Shout out to my replay gang. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting the show. Everybody who has been pulling up, listening, taking the strategies, embracing the material, all of the support, everybody who has, been watching, commenting, everybody who's gotten anything from the online store is much appreciated as well. Shout out to everybody who's been tuning in on the replays as well as live. Damn. Y'all done made me talk about this. What's going on? Beautiful she and I. What's up? What's going on? Courtney, Pink Pastel. What's up? What's up? Tiffany, Tay. What's going on? What's going on? Damn. So we gonna get into it. We gonna get into it. But definitely want to show my appreciation to everybody once again. As I do every show, I want to make sure that I am expressing my gratitude each and every time. Again, we are approaching a full year of episodes. 300. Once we hit 365, you know what that signifies. You know what I mean? So planning things out. I'm gonna make it a special thing to just celebrate. A year straight, no missed episodes. It's definitely something that I'm happy about, a milestone I'm happy to reach, and I'm definitely glad to be able to share energy with all of you guys. Janae, Cub, what's up? So we gonna break this. We gonna break this down, man. I'm definitely about to do my personal analysis on things, and when it comes to things like this, it's kind of whack though, because when miss you too, cuz we gotta get up ASAP. When it comes to something like this, I was on a streak with celebrating Women's Month, and I'll still plan to do that after this. Right? This is only a pit stop. This is only a brief one episode intermission from that. Because I do want to continue to honor our women. And their impact, everything that they're doing, everything that they're that they represent, and all of the accomplishments, all of the the victories, all of the things that you have circumvented, and what you mean to me. That's the kind of thing that I want to do. You know what I mean? But in honor of that, a lot of this is a situation where, a lot of women were deceived. A lot of women, a lot of you have been reaching out to me to see if I was going to address this or, have an analysis on this or definitely say something about it. So, because you all have spoken, I definitely wanted to make sure that, I addressed it accordingly and that we end on the right note. When it comes to moving forward, and what we can draw from what we see, what we're seeing unfold, what we can learn about it, what we can learn from it, and how we can categorize it, and how we can move forward. Because I think a lot of the questions I'm seeing is just like, on the one hand, some people are questioning whether they're going to continue to follow him, moving forward, and then other people are, reacting to it as almost adding to their perspective that, you know, men can't be trusted, or that, you know, even the seemingly good ones are lying in the background. It's sort of an evidence collecting sort of perspective. And so we're going to discuss that too. So let me not miss anybody who just came in. Trina, what's up? Dawn, what's up? Miss TW, what's going on? What's going on? All right, so that was Nancy then. You all right? What's up? Miss Sunshine, what's going on? I see 365 in that name. That's perfect. We almost at episode 365 coming up soon. Just mentioned that. So, okay. Now, there's several different levels I want to approach this situation, because again, I'm not going to recap everything because I'm sure you guys have been just flooded with the information, probably doing a lot of research on your own, kind of seeing what's unfolding. It's multifaceted, and it's still kind of you know how you see them on them old cartoons, you see the big ass scroll that just don't never unroll. Like this scroll ain't fully unrolled yet. This drawing is still rolling down the street. It's still a lot going on, even down to the minute. And the lies are it's rather incredible to watch. And I you know, I'm not a big gossip type of guy. Like I consume information to be able to categorize and analyze and then present to you in a way that's going to help you life-wise. I don't like digging in dirt just to throw it around, or to shame certain people, or to just, you know what I'm saying, just be messy. Like, I ain't got no time for that type of thing. However, if it can be used for good, and I'm going to help, we going to use it. We're going to use it for good. So, all right. So, first of all, you know, I've done videos on narcissism before. And you know, you guys can definitely check. But I will reference a lot of those points when it comes to just what I've seen. And I want to kind of get in, just kind of go inside of this particular mindset, based on his actions, and kind of do a case study just live for you guys, and just put everything on the screen and make sense out of the trajectory of events. Because, you know, naturally, you know, you follow somebody, you listen to what somebody is saying, but at the end of the day, you know, you're just watching what can be orchestrated in front of you. So, you know, in essence, let's look at the web that was weaved, right? So, we're talking about Derrick Jaxn, right? So you have a profile, YouTube, whatever, Instagram, and number one, we're gonna always go back to the theme of the night. The title of tonight is deception. So we're gonna have that be the nucleus, and we're gonna spread out amongst the actions that are congruent to that sentiment. So deception. That's all right. Now, his hub or channel or his home base, social media wise, there is number one, his wife. I didn't know he was married until like last week. So his wife wasn't shown. Kids weren't really shown. Like I don't think his kids were shown either. But so off the rip from the beginning, you know, there isn't a transparency. It's a construction, right? So constructing an image, and again, it's you know, the talking points over the last several years. You just listen to the talking points that you know what he's saying, but you don't have any context for anything that he's saying or any incongruence, because again, he controls the environment behind him when he's filming, and he controls what he's saying. And in essence, he's been called somebody that's been pandering and that sort of thing. And if you really just another element as well, referencing himself, third person and things like that. I really don't like that. You know what I'm saying? But I heard that, and I hear that even in the so-called apology video that just had recently come out. So, but again, all you see is first of all, what he constructed on screen. So he's sending out similar, just the same messaging. One thing you want to also look at is the fact that I don't really know where to go. It's so many places you could go with this whole situation. Like, all right, cool. So we're gonna go ahead. So with that construction, you see one thing coming. One set of images or a set of narratives that completely go in a cycle, right? And another element that you need to point out is and that I noticed along the trajectory of his career is that the harshness of his condemnation of men, when men who are so-called deceptive, or who are cheaters, or who lie about things to their significant others, or who do things in the background, or who blend the lines, right? So we're together, but then trying to do something, behind the scenes, or we're separated. Ironically, when you're separated, you're not supposed to be actively pursuing anybody else at the same time until you're fully divorced, right? Something that he said, and then that became something that he contradicted. But you have to be wary of the fact that you have to be careful rather when you look at somebody who is harshly condemning a certain demographic or a certain type of person without having any context or any intent for any understanding, but more so demonizing and vilifying, in essence, just men, or even with him, black men, I guess. So when it comes down to it, why would you be going so hard at men like that? You see what I'm saying? And it all goes back to the concept when you think of somebody who behaves and thinks or has a mindset of a narcissist. That person is almost splitting themselves into two people, right? So if you think about, referencing yourself in the third person, that's an externalization. You're externalizing yourself into a separate entity, right? Let's say, for example, him being somebody who demonizes men who are deceptive to women or who cheat on women. That's a process of externalizing that behavior into somebody else. So he was looking at cheaters as them. Don't talk to them. They need to do better. They need to change. So cheaters, they need to be held accountable. They need to change. They need to have no woman be thrown off a cliff. Sometimes he would go extra hard, for or against something, and that's the externalization. So without the narcissist, again, when it comes to actual change and accountability. That's not part of their process, because that renders them to feel vulnerable. And the narcissist has created that split or that externalized personality or persona due to the fact that their original self has been fractured, harmed, hurt, felt vulnerable, unloved, etc. So they have to create this new character, this separate character. Let's talk more about separation, right? The externalizing. When he's sitting there with his wife, everything is, but God gonna do this, and God's gonna change me, and I'm gonna, we're gonna lean on God. So that's how, somebody with that mindset, with that narcissistic mindset, can utilize religion and spirituality to, again, not take full accountability and actually change, but to externalize the change process. It's not, if you listen close, it's not him changing. It's, God's gonna work this or do that, and this intangible being is going to, work miracles and make things better, make things different, because I don't have to take accountability, and I don't have to do that. Again, the reasoning for, when it comes to the narcissist, the reason that they cannot take accountability is because of the fact that they view accountability as a reflection of their earliest vulnerabilities. So early on, childhood and whenever the trauma, the abuse, the neglect, whenever anything happened of that nature, internally somewhere they vowed that they would never be that vulnerable again, and they constructed this character, right? This character, this wall, these defenses, this image, this persona. They create it and then become masters at pushing that as their true self, and that is not their true self. And they do everything that they can to use that self, that contrived acting on stage self as their true self, and portray that to everybody around them. Which is why you can have somebody who can make millions of videos and things like that saying similar things, but be behind the scenes living something different. It is, for a lot of people, it's shocking, but for a narcissist, they have lived most of their entire existence as separate, incongruent entities. We have to look at the symbolism in that. These individuals have lived a totally separate selves, or have lived with two competing selves within them for years, long before they met wife, whatever, for any of that. So that has been their existence. They don't, a lot of times you look at the narcissist for some kind of remorse. You're like, hey, you told me for the last 10 years, last 15 years, you've told me this, and you were living this opposite thing the entire time. And the smug look and the fake accountability, and then from what I'm hearing, even after that apology video, and I'm never gonna do this again. I got the wife hand clenched all just in my hand, and we gonna she got the bonnet, we gonna work this out. And then like that night he's still texting somebody else or connecting with somebody else, and from other stuff that I've seen. So this is not a situation of trying to get somebody to understand or have remorse for being so incongruent, so diametrically opposed as far as what they're saying and then what they're actually doing, because this is the narcissist. This isn't a separate thing. This is how they function internally. Remember, if you're in a relationship with somebody, I always call the head is just, just mentally, that's the house. They're gonna bring you, if you date somebody, you marry somebody, you're going to be brought into their internal environment. And if their internal environment is predicated upon conflict, incongruence, you're going to be a part of that process. You're going to be a part of that process. But the problem of it is, or part of the difficulty is dating somebody who's narcissistic or has these tendencies or behaviors, is that you're not only a victim of the infidelities and the deception and the two split selves, right? You become a product or a projected entity of their former self. So their hatred of their younger self and all of the vulnerabilities and all of the pain that they felt, or the unloved time frames that they experienced as a kid, or what have nothing to do with you. They use you as a proxy to punish that vulnerable self that they still have inside of them, that they don't share with anybody. You see, on the outside, you see somebody, they look polished, a lot of people say, like, the gentleman and polished, and sounds like he's got the right idea and he's very well spoken and things like that. But behind the scenes is something different. And this is because this other self, or this representative self, has been created, structured, polished to a point that you believe what this is. Because, like I told y'all before, narcissists follow the flaws. They look, when they connect with mates, when they meet a woman, they look for, where's the weak areas that I will exploit and control and conquer in this person. They're looking for love. You might be a woman right now. You're looking for, you dating. You're looking for all the semblances of somebody that loves, cares about me, all of these different things, right? Stability, stuff like that. You're looking for love. They're looking at you as an opponent and somebody who could potentially threaten their psyche and, open up their vulnerability, see them for who they actually are, right? So in preparation for that, or as a preventative measure, they have to look at your entire body language, anatomy, right? How do you think? How do you respond? Okay, I did that. How does she? Oh, she forgave me. Oh, I slept with 95 women. She forgave me. Ooh, she said God's gonna help. God's gonna help. God's gonna help. Yeah, you're right. And so this person meets you and develops a whole list internally, mental notes, all your weak points, all of your imbalances. Because again, there's nothing wrong with God. Nothing wrong with God. But from an imbalanced standpoint, when there's an over-reliance on God's omnipotence, power, but there's no accountability to the person standing in front of you, and when God and religion and rules can be used as a scapegoat for a narcissist, then we're imbalanced. We're not functioning right. And so, because the narcissist is internally imbalanced, they can spot imbalance. Y'all need to listen, man. So, the sensitivities that we grow up after traumas, abuse, neglect, etc., we go up through these traumas, we develop sensitivities for things. They exist in imbalance and internal conflict. So when you find somebody who has imbalances, internal conflict, guilt, where are the buttons that I can push so that when I act as demonic as I actually am, as deceptive as I actually am, how will I get out of it? How will I escape true accountability? Not sitting on the video with my wife with the bonnet talking about I take accountability. Derrick Jaxn takes accountability for the shit, and then go sleep with somebody at night. That's not accountability. That's image polishing. That's the narcissist getting back on the stage. You notice he did it on his own channel. Back on the stage and doing another monologue for the crowd. Right? That's any actor can do that. Just because Denzel is accountable on a movie, that don't mean he's accountable in real life at home if he messed up. What are we talking about? So this is what you've been watching the whole time. This is what you've been watching the whole time. And, you know, it's clear that he has control over this wife, or I don't know, is that a wife? I don't know. Because I kind of got lost in a lot of the information. I know that's supposed to be his wife, but just from some of the things she was saying and just, you know, the body language in that video, and he had her hand tight as hell. I don't know if y'all noticed that she is holding her hand, but it was like one of those grips from Street Fighter, like kind of like when you grab the hand right before you about to body slam 4 different ways. That's the kind of grip that he had on her hand. And I definitely know, you know, without a doubt that, you know, his control over her runs deep. If we're talking about all of these different women in succession, and some of them like right around the time they got married, right after that, and he's saying, you know, like, okay, I'm separated from my wife, and you know, you got separate house, separate cribs, and you know, this what? And then, you know, you also want to you also want to look at the fact that, okay, out of everything that was presented, that has unfolded, because he mentioned that basically, you know, there was, you know, okay, from what I've seen, a lot of women in succession, right? So on that video, he said that she knows everything now. So everything is out to her. And she's still kind of in that, you know, that catatonic state of, you know, kind of just going with it, and you know, God's gonna handle it, things like that. And I know a lot of you here already, and I know if presented, well, first of all, a lot of, see, he wouldn't make it past the not posting you part for a lot of y'all. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak for exactly how you would handle it, but I know for a lot of y'all, he wouldn't get past it. You know, there wouldn't be no "I ain't know you was married" type of thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't really see y'all rocking with that. I know, because again, I've heard a lot of you say that, you know, when it comes to posting on social media and things like that with significant others, some of you may take the route of keeping it private. Social media is crazy. I don't want everybody on my situation. But when we get married, that's when we come out and go public and things like that. He ain't even do that. The picture with his wife came out like right after the scandal had popped or something. So it was kind of like a knee jerk. Like, you know how, all right, you do something wrong, and then you like, no, this is my day one. Thank you for my wife and everything like that. And then you like, wait a minute, hold on. Now you now, you know, so you know, man. Something I want to say too, when it comes to the God and religion element, I definitely want to say this, because I know a lot of you guys here and some of, I won't name names, but some of you have came on and mentioned that, in essence, there has been times where, you being of a certain faith and have had difficulty where the line is when it comes to enduring certain things, right? And you want to be a Christian woman, you want to follow the rules, you want to follow the Bible, you want to follow, God and the principles of your particular religion. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, when it comes down to executing a reciprocal marriage or executing a relationship that is healthy or that carries the principles that the vows are founded on, that marriage is founded on, right? God might be watching the union, maybe bless the union, maybe, but he's not executing the union. It's on both of you to follow and move forward. At what point do you save yourself? At what point do you say, I have endured enough and I'm not going to sacrifice myself to the death? It's until death do us part, not allowing death to come to you in many different symbolic forms until you actually pass on. Because there was nowhere in the vows or anything like that that says, under God I allow you to control my life for as long as we shall live. Under God I pledge that I will sit on the couch with my Jiffy Pop bonnet on and talk to the YouTube community as if this was, him just making a mistake and not paying the bills on time. Like this is one of them Tiger Woods, unload, one day everything's cool and then next day there's 30 women that's got something to say. And then so when it comes to that, and we can't save nobody that don't want to be saved. Like when it comes down to it, she has to make the choices herself to do what she needs to do for herself. I mean, we can't do any of that, but we can, as women now who are likely dating in the mix, observing the landscape. Number one, I don't, and I can't live for you, right? But it saddens me a lot of times when, the actions of certain individuals cast a net over everything, and because of people who get put on blast or people who have incongruencies in their lifestyle, or who aren't honest, or who are not transparent, or who are manipulators, etc., become the norm instead of an element to view and understand and then to bypass. The fate of Miss Bonnet does not have to be your particular fate as a woman in life. And I think that's where the infection of the mindset continues. It's you don't want to cast a death sentence over the rest of your life because this person and this person and this person. So it's everybody, and there's no hope to get out of it. There's no way to meet somebody who doesn't engage in deception. And it's not to say to walk around naive, but it is to say to follow what you look at, what you're looking at. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm here for anything, it's to help you not only with the strategies to keep you good and to help you progress on all levels, and to put you in a space to be able to, accept nothing less than your standard, but to also spot out who ain't it, and to not live and vibrate at a certain mezzanine level, which makes you susceptible to these type of predatory mindsets. You think he ain't controlling everything going on? And this particular mindset is damaging because it thrives on the weakness and brokenness of others. Let's look at something else. Who do you think he was targeting with his video campaign? Let's not only talk about the type of wife that he chose. Let's talk about the video campaign that brought him to his current level of fame or infamy. I don't know what's going on now, but the things that he was saying was catered to women who have been emotionally affected, broken, fractured, hurt, emotionally injured, physically injured, maybe sexually, etc., right? So there's a reason that that's the type of individual that he was catering to. Because again, he wasn't only looking to control his wife, he was looking to control a lot of you as well, who may have been followers. Because again, he can make you do things, say what you want to hear, and then come over here and buy something. Say what you want to say a little bit of what you want to hear, offer you something, you buy something. Come get something from me. Or, retweet, requote, reshare what I'm saying. Further aggrandize an already grandiose mindset. Give me the praise, the authority, elevate me for analyzing you for your weak areas and then exploiting them every video. And so again, women become the byproduct of his internal hatred, or his hatred for his vulnerable self. So he's on a control mission, and it's funny, with such a control campaign, he can't control himself sexually. So again, the dichotomy, we're talking about incongruence. I seek only to control, but I cannot control myself. Shit is deep. I don't usually cuss on here, but this shit is deep. You know what I'm saying? And so, in breaking down, what we're actually looking at and going behind the scenes and being able to really watch and see, okay, a lot of you may look at his wife and say, she's bugging. I don't really see myself in her, but I know a lot of you have dated narcissists before. I know a lot of you have been in situations where you were that person, or you were maybe not that bonnet. Maybe that's not the bonnet that you own or whatever wear during the day on a YouTube stream. But a lot of the capacity, or not the capacity, but a lot of the elements or parts of her that attracted her initially to this person may have resided within you at a certain point. Maybe they still do. So, if anything, I'm here to help to deconstruct so that no hierarchy exists. You gotta look, the narcissist empath, it's a hierarchical situation because the narcissist used to be here and has built such a wall around it that they will never return, and they won't allow you to drag them down either. So it's predicated on a power differential that they will not relinquish. However, I'm here to elevate you to the space where you can see all of this shit before it affects you, before you're emotionally connected, before it's a soul tie, before you're spending money and forgiving years of infidelity. Before you get to that spot that you can't get out of, I'm looking to empower you to have the tools to not only spot it, but to strategically get yourself where you need to be, top level functioning on all levels, so that this is not a place you find yourself in. Because again, it's a predatory mental space. Some are not. Some whether it's disorders or conditions or just thought processes, some of them are not predatory. But again, you don't want to be victimized by that. And again, one of the biggest things is to have your vision intact, right? Because if you are in a position where you're I don't want to use the word desperate, but if you finding a certain type of person is maybe over prioritized or exists to fill certain voids or anything like that, then you become susceptible, because mentally you will wipe out any of the red flags. You will discount them, you will minimize them. These are cognitive distortions. You'll minimize all of the threats and put yourself in a very vulnerable space to be believing certain things. And then, years later, you're like, damn, where'd all that come from? I should have known. Well, you would have if you were equipped to have the right vision, to be able to not only notice it, but to take the necessary actions to remove oneself from that dynamic, because the dynamic is very very destructive, and it's something that you want to make sure that you don't find yourself anywhere near. But it would not be correct to cast that net over the complete gender, because that's that he don't represent me. I don't know what y'all or anybody else, any other males who are honest, consistent, and are transparent. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely want y'all to be able to see the signs, and he's definitely shown a lot of those signs from what I saw. Like, even just for this analysis period, I didn't really watch much. I had to catch up on what was actually happening. I from what I remember, and just kind of putting those things together, and it makes perfect sense. And the internal, and the prognosis for change is very small when it comes to this type of mindset. Like, we gotta be honest about that, because again, when you create that separation of self, to reattach that, first of all, it's not the job of the wife to do that. Second off, he lives in so much of a zone of deception that his insight is probably super limited as well. So, and also there's no incentive for him to return to, because again, they think in extremes. So for him to return to a more vulnerable, accountable, and actual changing space to become more balanced, for what? I mean, look at what he's accomplished lying. Look at what he's accomplished being incongruent. Look at what he's accomplished by being fake and incongruent with his own message. Where's the incentive to change regarding that? He's got to live the married life. He got to live the single life while he's being married. He got to make money off the situation, off the image, right? Notoriety, fame to a degree, like. So for somebody like that to, for them to actually, I'm not talking about saying sorry, or you got me accountable, I'm holding my wife's hand, she got the bonnet on, we're a family now, we're gonna work it out, no more women, by the book. I'm not talking about that. That's not accountability. I'm talking about actual change. Very 0 to none when we're talking about actual prognosis of real change. So in that scenario, with that type of mindset, especially when all of this was gained, just talk his way out of it. So, again, for all of you who, may follow him or what he's doing, I don't have any jurisdiction over your choices. I would just say, okay, put it to you like this. When it comes to music, right? I know there was a lot of, R. Kelly, all right, I'm banning his music, no, I can't play his music no more. And then, okay, Bill Cosby, okay, I can't watch the Cosby Show no more. I can't do this, that, and that, okay. And then so the cancellation, right? In some cases, I don't feel like that's necessary. But my question for this situation would be, to continue to follow would hit what you were following before wasn't real or is incongruent. So what are you following if you continue? You know what I'm saying? Now music, musicians have had some weird freaked out lives or whatever the case is, and not to justify anything, but if they've written, a lot of times they've written for other artists and things like that, and you can interpret music in a certain way that's pure and interconnected to you and somebody you love, and not to have to be connected to anybody or the actual artist or the person that wrote it or whatever their life is like. That separation can exist. And certain music, if something comes out with a certain musician or whatever, and I have a song that's interconnected deeply to somebody I actually care about, and it doesn't shift me, because sometimes the messiness will throw you off, and then you don't even want to hear it because you keep thinking about the news or the gossip on the person. But if it doesn't shift that and that song remains special, then you have converted that into something that serves you personally and that has a purity that is not touched by that person's actions. Now, this is something different because his whole thing is of him. It's his perspective. It's his, under the guise of being in a healthy relationship, teaching people how to have a healthy relationship. It's inauthentic. The whole thing is inauthentic. So I would wonder, what are you following? If that becomes destroyed, then what? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh yes, it's also interesting that one thing I want to end with is that the truth always comes to light. You know what I'm saying? Truth always comes to light, man. Like, you know what I mean? And no matter how much you try to hide in the beginning, or try to construct a compartmentalized lifestyle, and that's another thing too. The narcissist internally, again, is compartmentalized. Sex, right? Okay, wife, persona, everything is compartmentalized. Old self, new self, everything is separated. Everything is interconnected, but with certain distance. So it's interesting that just as public as his lifestyle or his career has been, it's only right that because the lies were public, that the truth becomes public as well. So, I also look at, when people get dragged through the media, it can be justified or it can not be. You know what I'm saying? If something's false, if something, somebody trying to get money off of somebody, or if it's a smear campaign that's not founded in anything, I don't really rock with that. But in this situation, with this being public, he's been public the whole time with lying. So if you can lie in public, hide your kids, hide your wife, videos in public, lying in public, pandering in public, it's only right that everything else gets put on as it's put on. You know what I'm saying? And you know, but again, hopefully you guys understand, have some understanding, and you know, make some sense out of this. And man, it's kind of goofy, man. I don't know. I man, look, I know that all of you guys will. This does not affect your future. This does not affect the probability of you finding what you deserve. This doesn't affect, you know, your progress, your growth, your evolution. And when you hit those points, you can really look at this objectively and be like, well, damn, you know, sorry you chose to go down like that. And, you know, but again, we definitely can use it as an example of the energy we don't want to intersect with. We don't want to find ourselves interconnected with. We want to remain our whole selves at all costs. And we want to make sure that we are doing what we need to do to continuously grow. And, you know, wish you guys the best, man. I got jokes for it, but I'm tired as hell right now. But so I'll check in with y'all tomorrow. Definitely be sure to, you know, check in with me. Shoot me a DM if anything, and